Hey, lovely freaks, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Amanda.
And I'm Hannah.
And if you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like things strange and unusual and true crime, you go and hit that subscribe or follow button. You can also head down to the description box and you'll see a link that will take you to our social media like Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz.
And all that jazz.
Yeah. All right. Hi, guys. So, yeah, we're doing an episode on Sunday because we just got super busy over the week. This week for me was... This week was shit. I don't know about you, but it was just shit.
And next week it's going to be shit. I've got so many tests, it's not even funny. It's like all the teachers are like, okay, it's time. And every one of them are just like, test. And I'm like, damn, guys, calm down.
It's a whole new semester.
I swear.
Yeah, so anywho, we decided to do one for Sunday. And today we're doing a spooky one. Because I didn't really feel like doing a true crime. I don't know why. Just went in a true crime mood. I was in a spooky mood. I probably because it's been so gloomy and dark lately.
Yeah.
So if you saw the title, then you know what we're going to talk about. This will not be a long episode because there's just not a lot on it. But I'm going to try to make it long. I'm going to talk real slow. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to try to make it semi-long for you guys. Maybe try to hit the 30 minute mark. So anyways, without further ado, let's talk about the Sallie House. And you said you don't think you remember this? Or maybe
I don't think
heard of it?
I know about this.
Yeah.
But I did know the BuzzFeed guys. What was their names? You know their names?
Shane and...
They're called something.
I can't remember. But it's BuzzFeed Unsolved, the Supernatural.
Unsolved. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I know they did something about it.
Shane and Ryan? Question mark? Why can I not remember his name? I remember Shane because our dad's name is Shane. So anywho, well, the Sallie House is basically a haunted house, but I watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved episode of it, and there was like when they did the oh gosh, what's it called? The spirit box thing where you listen and like you ask questions and it'll say something back into the box.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called though.
That's what it's called.
Oh. Spirit box?
Yeah, that's
Literally?
what they call it.
Oh.
Yeah. So when they did that, there was just a lot of activity. Like that's the most place I've ever seen that much activity. Also, they had like a flashlight on the table in different rooms.
Oh yeah.
And they would tell it to turn it off or turn it on. And they've done that before at other places, but just that it would constantly do it for them, like over and over. So anywho, I thought that was pretty cool. So if you want to check out that BuzzFeed episode, it's on there. I think they stopped doing the BuzzFeed.
Yeah, I think they have a separate channel now. Like they went away from BuzzFeed. I don't know why.
The Supernatural, I think they stopped doing that, which is sad. But anyways, let's get started. Located in Atchison, Kansas. Said it right. The town of Atchison is actually said to be one of the most haunted in the U.S. The one house that is the most haunted was built in the mid-1800s, and is known as the Sallie House. A 2-story white house that also has a basement, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and 1,200 square feet. That's a tiny house, if you think about it. Ours is like 1,700, and that is way less than that.
Yeah.
But it looks big when you're like looking at the inside. So it was originally built for the Finney family. There was 4 members of the family when it was originally built, and then sadly though they all died in the house at some point over the years. According to the legend, like if you believe the legend of the house, the spirits that are in it, and basically how the house got its name, is because a little girl named Sally was brought to the house with severe stomach pain. Her mom brought her to Dr. Charles Finney, who was living in the house at the time. Upon arrival, he diagnosed her with an appendicitis, and he kind of had like a patient room where he was a doctor, so he would do like, you know, surgeries or whatever there, because he had his license. So I guess he was practicing out of his home, basically, which wasn't unheard of back then. But he diagnosed her, and he knew that he had to do surgery right away because her appendix was it had either burst or it was going to burst. He started to do the surgery when he realized that the anesthesia had not taken full effect. Sallie started to scream. She started to, like, some reports said that she screamed up at him and said, stop, I hate you, or something like that, because she thought maybe he was torturing her or something.
Did he keep going? He didn't stop?
I think I don't know, because then most of the things that I read said that she just went limp and she was pale and then she died.
Oh.
And I'm just like, I mean, she could have died of like a heart attack or shock or something like that. Yeah. So she died on the table. Up until the early 90s, the house was said to have some like small disturbances, nothing major. Most of the people who lived there in the house, though, were part of the Finney family. Finney, sorry, up until the Pickmans in the 1990s. So pretty much everybody that lived there up until the Pickmans in the 1990s were a part of the family, the original family that built the house. So if they did see anything, or if there was any kind of ghosts or anything like that, maybe they wouldn't have reported it, is what people are thinking.
Yeah, they probably would just be like, "Oh, that's my aunt."
Yeah. So anywho, that's why I wanted to say that, because I didn't want people to think, well, the Pickmans are the only ones that have ever seen anything. So Deborah and Tony Pickman moved into the house in 1992. They moved in on New Year's Day, I believe, and when Deborah was pregnant, she was 3-4 months along. About 6 months later, their son was born. Before their son was born, there wasn't really a lot of things happening in the house. There would be like some lights that would go dim every now and again, flickering lights. They would have cold spots in the house. They would have toys that would turn on by themselves, but it wasn't really, like, my daughters had some toys that would turn on by themselves because they're like smushed in a toy box or something like that. So they didn't really think anything of it. Plus, this was their first home, and this house was built in the 1800s. So they were thinking, okay, well, the cold spots are because it's drafty, and the lights is because it's electrical wiring from the 1800s.
Yeah.
Also,
understandable.
But, you know, this is the 1990s, and red flag, the house was only $46,000 when they bought it.
Oh, well, that's a big red flag.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand it's only in the 1990s, but
I would never buy a house that looks really nice and then they're like, it's very cheap. I'd be like, there's something wrong.
Yeah, because the house did look nice. I mean, it wasn't like dilapidated or anything like that.
Yeah.
Also, and this was a fairly big house for that time period, because this was a 2-story house. I mean, it had, I think the nursery and their room was upstairs, or maybe all 3 rooms. And then downstairs, you know, it had the basement and everything. So it was a big, you know, pretty decent house for a one-time homeowner. Also, side note, don't ever buy a house from the 1800s.
Yeah,
that's just, because there's going to be a ghost in it.
Yeah.
So after their son was born, the ghost activity, or the activity period, started to pick up. Tony never liked the basement. He said that it didn't help that there was like a dark, crumbling bricks everywhere, and it was moist, and it was dark, and there was like one light, and it didn't really work, and it was kind of like dilapidated down in the basement. You could tell that nobody had ever really been in there. It was falling apart, but it was still holding up the structure of the house. He also said that there was a really big hole in the wall in the basement, which led to like a crawl space, which is really weird. It was a hole just big enough for like a person. And then when you looked in there was like a crawl space.
No.
Yeah, no. Their son, then they don't ever mention his name, but that's okay. So their son seemed to always wake up in the middle of the night, and some reports said that it was always around 3 a.m., which, was like the haunting hour.
Yeah, it's always
but
like that.
I don't know if that's true or not. That could have just been something that people threw in there.
Isn't that weird that... Do you ever wake up at 3? I wake up at 3 all the time.
No, I usually wake up at like 2. But you probably wake up at 3 all the time because you're a little ghost girl.
Probably. I wake up at 3 constantly. Like, if I have to pee or I just wake up because I have a nightmare, it's 3 o'clock every time.
That's your ghost girl, man. But the baby, when he would wake up, wasn't crying. Because, most babies, they wake up in the middle of the night, they're crying, they're agitated or whatever. He would always wake up and he was laughing. Laughing as if someone was playing with him or tickling him or something like that. The couple also heard from a neighbor. She asked, "Why is your nursery light on all night?" And they were like, "What?" She said it would always come on at night, and she thought it was really strange, but she thought she said, "I thought maybe y'all were coming in and out of the nursery."
Yeah, because would it turn on and off every once in a while? Or something?
She said sometimes, but she said most of the time it was just on constantly. And Deborah was like, "No." She's like, "Actually, the baby has been sleeping with us for the past couple of nights because he couldn't sleep, so they put him in the bedroom with them. So for like the past week, he had been sleeping with them, and somebody had been turning the light on in the nursery." Wonder who that could have been. So they also would go into the nursery sometimes to find that all the stuffed animals were on the floor in a circle on the floor. So one of their, I think it was Deborah's sister, maybe, or Tony's, one of the sisters, she was babysitting, and when they got home, she was like, "Why did you guys play a prank on me?" or something like that. And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "Well, all the teddy bears are in the floor." Well, there was other stuffed animals in the floor in a circle. They're facing outwards, and they're all in a circle facing outwards. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like sitting up.
Yeah.
Like they're looking at each other, like they're doing a seance.
No, like not looking at each other, like not looking this way, but turned the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really weird.
That's weird.
One night after the baby wouldn't sleep, Tony went downstairs to get some water. That was when he saw Sally, the little girl. She was in the kitchen doorway. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her face looked as though she had been crying because her eyes were bloodshot red and her mouth was slightly opened.
Oh, no.
She stared at him, never blinking.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining it. It's the mouth for me.
He started to walk towards her but didn't understand why. And then all of a sudden she vanished. In that moment, he got a burning sensation that shot across his back. And all of a sudden, without realizing it, like he seemed to have walked up the stairs and he didn't remember walking up the stairs. Then, in another moment, he realized that he had a shard of glass in his hand and he was standing in front of his wife's bedroom door. And the thought of killing Deborah had crossed his mind. He heard Deborah scream, luckily, and it snapped him out of it. When Deborah screamed, he went to the nursery because she was standing in the nursery door. And Deborah had noticed that the dolls, again, were all in a circle. And one of the teddy bears had appeared to turn around and look at them.
Nope.
They snatched up their son and they left. Once they got back down the road, and I think they either got to her parents' house or maybe they were just in the car, Tony's back started searing with pain. Deborah looked at it and there were 3 deep, bloody scratch marks on his lower back. There's also pictures of, well, I'll get to that. I'm not going to speed ahead. Even after all this, though, they decided to go back. They lived in the house for another year. Tony continued to have thoughts of killing his wife, but he didn't tell her. He just,
of course. You're not going to be like, "Hey, I have thoughts of killing you." Just
I would.
No. You would? Why? That is weird.
If I had those thoughts and I knew that our house was haunted, I'm sure Corey would want me to tell him.
I don't know if I would be like, hey, by the way, I thought about killing you. You know, that would be, I think the marriage would go downhill from there. You know?
I guess so, yeah.
I mean.
But I would want Corey to tell me. I would want him to be like, you know.
Any normal person would,
but
we're supernatural people, so we're like, yes, tell me that you want to kill me so I can know.
I think there's a demon that's telling me to try to kill you. Because then I'd be like, oh, well, let's get the fuck out. Like,
yeah, but some people would be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
You need to go to the doctor?
So other people also would experience things in the house, like friends and relatives that would come over. Deborah's mom had a lamp thrown at her. Fires would start in the nursery all of a sudden, and then they would, like, be put out. Like, there would be a small fire that would start, and then it would just...
Disappear,
basically. The family did contact a psychic medium named Barbara Connors. She concluded that a little girl named Sally was the one that was doing the haunting. After this, a camera crew came in, and actually there was a bunch of different other mediums that came in and, like, not like Ghost Adventures, but not Ghost Adventures, but people like that that would come in and, like, talk to the dead or whatever. I don't know. But she was just the only one that they mentioned in all the readings, so that's why I put her in there. But one of the camera crews actually caught scratches appearing on Tony's skin while they were, like, all there. And there's pictures of it too. The medium said they should embrace the little girl and they should treat her like she is their daughter. Which Deborah said she kind of did. She could tell something when the girl was, like, near her, everything would get cold and there would be, like, cold spots around her. She said she would sit on the couch and all of a sudden she would feel like a cold presence and she would think that Sally was, like, trying to cuddle with her. Because if she was a little girl, you know, she might have been scared.
Yeah.
Maybe her attacking Tony, though, was because she hated men for whatever reason. Maybe it was because of the doctor that killed her, or maybe she had a traumatic... The medium just said she had some sort of traumatic past with a man. So if the legend is true about the little girl...
Maybe it was the doctor.
Yeah, it could have been the doctor. Yeah. Whatever the case... It was Hazel. Whatever the case, though, after 2 years, in 1994, the Pickmans decided to leave. After they moved away, though, things still started to happen that couldn't be explained. One night, Tony woke up, like, to them. Things started happening to them outside of the house. One night, Tony woke up to find himself standing in front of the Sallie house, almost as like he was sleepwalking. But the crazy part about it was he was almost 10 miles from the house. So he had walked that far. Damn. And he was standing in front of the house when he woke up. Deborah said even years later, after not living in the house or anything like that, they all kind of have some sort of activity happening to them. They'll have, like, you know, just some supernatural stuff every now and again happen to them.
It seems like the little girl is viewing them as their parents. And then when the baby came in, it was like she was jealous.
Well, that, but also some people, with the stuff happening to them outside of the house, some people wonder if maybe it's a demonic presence and not, because, you know, demons can follow people. Yeah. But ghosts can't. So... Yeah. If something like that, and then again, I mean, there could be still ghosts in the house, but also a demon as well, and I'll get to that in a second. So a new tenant moved in. It was a woman. She actually had 6 kids, which I thought was crazy. And she moved in after them, and she claimed that she never saw any kind of paranormal activity or anything like that. Les Smith, he was their landlord. Excuse me. One day he had to go into the house to, like, check some stuff. I guess it was like the pipes downstairs or something like that, or I don't remember what it was. When he went into the house, though, he saw Sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear that. My cat, we call her Sneezy. She's like
wheezy and
having
sneezy.
an allergy attack up in my closet. Where was I? Oh, when he went into the house, he saw a shit ton of candles. Like a lot. Like every surface was covered with candles. And they had seemed to have been burned, but then when he got closer to the wicks of the candles, they were still white. But there was but it looked like they had melted.
Yeah, because there's wax, right?
Wax dripping all over the place. She had 6 kids, but there was no sign of children anywhere. Like there wasn't any toys anywhere.
Weird.
There wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
She also didn't have, he said it was weird because she also didn't have a lot of decor. Like there was maybe one couch and that's pretty much it. Like there wasn't a lot of stuff.
Satanist.
Yeah. So he was like, well, whatever. I mean, maybe she just really likes candles. So he decided, I got to go to the basement to fix whatever leaky pipes or whatever and look at stuff. So I might as well just go down there. Once down there, he noticed that the light wasn't working. So he got his little, back in the day, this was like a flip phone. So he got his little flip phone, light, which couldn't see from here 2 feet in front of you. So he turned it on and he was, looking and all that. But then all of a sudden the lights came on. So he went over to the bulb and he tried to screw it back in to see if maybe it was loose or whatever. And so once he did, the lights came on. He saw in the corner of the room, there was a large iron pot, jars of something that looked slimy and beside the pot. And the pot almost looked like a cauldron.
A witch.
In the hole in the wall, the hole that I said where there was a crawl space, there was some weird object that kind of looked like it, different twigs. It kind of looked like a wreath, but it had different twigs hanging on it and just weird stuff hanging on it. Then he looked down and he noticed that he was actually standing on a pentagram. All of a sudden he couldn't move. He felt like he was as if he was stuck in that spot. Then he saw something coming out from the wreath, where the wreath was. Yeah. It was like a figure that was moving towards him. And he saw this creature with sharp teeth and black eyes and hands that were reaching out from the crawl space area or whatever. All of a sudden, the woman that owned the house opened the door and she was standing at the top of the stairs. In that moment, he snapped out of it and he could move, which then he took off running up the stairs. He said after this, he never returned to the house ever again. Good. And then eventually she moved out. But the pentagram, the spot where the pentagram is, even to this day, because they do tours and stuff, you can still go down there and you can see it's not a pentagram because people have tried to clean it and scrub it and all that. I don't know what the hell she drew on it with, but it won't come off and it's kind of messed up, but you can see that it's a black circle. So by the early 2000s, no one lived in the house anymore though.
Good. Because she probably brought something into that house.
Probably, that's what people think. Today the house is used as a tourist attraction and you can actually stay the night. No thanks.
No.
And a bunch of paranormal investigators, Ghost Hunters, has done something in that house, and of course the BuzzFeed guys, I talked. They actually went down to the basement. They've done it twice. They've done one time, and then they've done it 2 times. But Shane, I don't really think he believes in ghosts or anything like that, because he laid where the pentagram spot was, and he was telling the ghost, he was I don't know, he's telling him all kinds of shit, kill me or something like that, or just some crazy stuff that I was just dude, I'm really surprised that he hasn't. I'm really surprised nothing's followed him from all these places that they've been to. But yeah, so that is pretty much it. I told you guys this was a short one. That is the Sallie House. And it's in Kansas.
I think maybe when that all happened, when the other person was living in the house, maybe it was a demon that was trying to get the other owners from the other house to come to the house or something.
The Pikmins like come back. Because of what you're saying.
I feel like it was like maybe a demon and a ghost at the same time.
It could have been, yeah, or it could have been a poltergeist. I mean,
but I don't know if that happened at the same time, so I can't say.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now, we were having that talk about a ghost can't, go and get them, so maybe that demon did.
I wish there was some way, like, I could never figure out what the girl's name was, like, what the woman's name was, that, like,
lived there?
It kind of sounded to me like she was doing, I don't want to say because I'm going to butcher it. But when we did the episode on the black magic from Mexico, the guy was doing.
What you're talking about, yeah.
Why can I never remember things from our old episodes? I can't ever remember. It's like taking a test. You just learn about it and then you just black out your memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of reminded me of that because he was talking about the black cauldron, and then there was like jars of things, and it could have been like, parts of people or something. Yeah. So, anywho, I don't know, but what do you guys think? I definitely. Oh, there was another theory, like talking about Sally. There was another theory that I think like maybe the doctor had an affair with this colored woman, African American woman, but they said colored in the the older stuff that I read, and that she came to him with their supposed daughter, and he like didn't want her, and she was sick, so he just kind of like killed her basically.
Asshole.
But I mean, I don't know if that's true. That's just another. I mean, the Sally thing may not even be true. It's just a legend, I guess you can say.
The girl that was supposedly the person who said her name, the seance girl.
Oh, the medium. The medium woman.
She could have just been like, Sally. Her name was Sally.
Yeah, yeah.
Sally? Yeah.
Also, apparently, Sally does not like her picture being taken because if you, I think it was Tony's brother took a picture of something, and she made some objects fly through the room. There was also, I think people have taken pictures in the house, and there's been, of course, like orbs and things like that. Also on the, I'm talking about BuzzFeed. Also on the BuzzFeed episode, there was also where they left the microphone in the room, and they like left and went downstairs or whatever, and she was playing with the mobile over the nursery, because that's one of the things that the Pikmin said, that they would hear the mobile go off when the baby wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Just during the day or at night or whatever, because she liked to play the music and stuff like that, and you could like clearly hear it on the episode that we watched. So it's just a bunch of crazy stuff. I couldn't believe the amount of like footage that they got from this house. It almost reminded me.
They stayed the night.
They did stay the night. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that episode.
And he said that. He said, the other guy, not Shane, the short one as well.
The short one.
He said that he couldn't sleep. He's like, I couldn't sleep.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and then Shane was like, yeah, I slept like a baby.
Yeah, he slept really good. But all right, guys. Well, that is that. Maybe one day we'll go to something haunted. There is a witch.
That's funny. You think I'm gonna go somewhere haunted? I might walk in there, but you know how I am. I'd probably get something.
There is a Witch of Yazoo here in Mississippi. The Witch of Yazoo.
Something like that. If it's a haunted house.
I mean, I've thought about doing an episode on her, but it's very short, so we would have to like combine it with something else. But there is a Witch of Yazoo, and there's some haunted houses around here. And then there's also, the house in between. It's in Florence.
Yeah.
And did you watch that with me?
Maybe.
The House in Between. You guys should watch it. It's a good like documentary type thing, and it's about a house here. Well, it's not that far from us. It's about 20 minutes. Not even that. No, it's about 10 minutes down the road, 15 minutes, in Florence, Mississippi. And I've actually been like not to the house, but I've like drove by it a bunch of times, and I know somebody's that used to live beside it, ? Yeah, or across the street. But yeah, it's a pretty cool documentary. And then there's a lot of stuff that happens in that. Like a ball rolls down the stairs, and like clearly you can see that it really does it. People like that, and then like the BuzzFeed guys, like I believe stuff. I just have a hard time believing ghost adventures just because they're so over the top.
I swear.
I just feel like they put strings
Did you
on
hear
things.
that creak, man?
Yeah. Like something will just be like, oh my god, what was that? Oh my god.
What was that?
Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. And I'm just like, okay, we get it.
It's every episode. They really don't ever see anything.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, like the guys from BuzzFeed. I mean, shit. The freaking ghosts or whatever were turning on and off the lights. The flashlight. Yeah. And I'm like, that is proof. Because, I mean, they could all be bullshitting us and maybe it's fake. But whatever. I mean, to me, it's real. But anyways. All right. Well, enough rambling. We've rambled in this episode towards the end. But hopefully you guys like this episode. If you want to hear more content about spooky stuff, just let us know. And, yeah. Maybe we'll try to do an alien next. It's so hard to do aliens, man.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
Very rare and in between.
It's just not a lot. Not a lot of info. But maybe next week we'll try to do aliens or something. We'll do a poll again. I didn't do a poll this week, but all right. Well, we'll see you guys next weekend. Bye.